What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, SC Starbolt, and I'm here with another Martial Masters video for you. I saw a few comments on my first video saying that people had never really given this game a try before I brought it up, so today I wanted to go deeper into the general mechanics of the game and kind of the universal stuff so that you can see kind of what you're working with generally in this game. All the stuff I'm going to show is universal. Everyone in the cast can do it, so if you're following along or anything, it doesn't really matter who you choose. Just pick who you think looks the coolest, and I'm going to be using Crane, of course, but just pick who you think looks the coolest. And first we're going to start off with movement. So to walk with our character, we just need to move in whichever direction we want to go. Since this is a 2D game though, we only have the options of moving either forwards or backwards. When you hold backwards, when you're walking and you're holding backwards, when the opponent attacks, it lets you block. And that means you take 0 damage. So I would say get used to that early on, because everything that we're going to learn is built on top of your movement ability and blocking and stuff like that. So definitely keep that in mind. But as you can see, obviously walking all the time is too slow. So we can run. To run, we need to input forward twice in a quick succession and hold it the second time. This lets us close in on our opponent much faster than just walking towards them. But there is a trade-off here. When we're running, that means that we're open to any attack because we're holding forward, so we can't block. We can stop running by letting go of forward altogether, or by holding backwards to halt the run into a block. Jumping is also a really important part of this game. So there are 3 different types of normal jumps that we have. We can jump straight up vertically, also known as a normal neutral jump. We can jump forwards normally or backwards normally. These are good for things like evading stuff like Reika's fireballs or Crane's needles and stuff like that, projectiles. It can also be used to jump in on an opponent who's staying grounded or doing, air to air kind of things. But those will usually leave us open for anti-air attacks, or if you lose the air-to-air situation, you can be left in a bad spot. So you have to be careful with jumping for sure. We also have what are called super jumps. Now, if we do a quick down to up motion, we get a standard super jump. You know that you've done it right when you see the shadowy after image trail behind your character. This can be done backwards or forwards, and we get more height than a normal jump. You can also input a jump while running to get a dash jump, which is essentially a super jump that has much more horizontal distance than a standard one. We can use it to close a wide distance aerially, but it's easily telegraphed, so it needs to be used wisely. So now let's talk about our buttons. As I explained in the last video, in Martial Masters we have 4 attack buttons. We have light punch, light kick, heavy punch, and heavy kick. Now, yes, these buttons are basic normal attacks, but when we press them in various combinations, we get a bunch of different stuff, like overheads. When we do an attack from the air, it's considered an overhead attack, or an attack that a crouching opponent can't block. The opponent has to stand block in order to block an overhead. But contrary to what you may think, a standard jump or a super jump is not the only way to approach from the skies. We can do what I call a back roll air, which we'll talk about later, or we can input down, light punch, and light kick together to get a grounded overhead. This makes our character airborne but really close to the ground. This means that they evade low attacks as well as stop the opponent from crouch blocking. Another technique that we should definitely take advantage of are throws. In Martial Masters there are 2 types of throws: light punch and heavy kick together, and light kick and heavy kick together. Throw range is universal across the cast and is very, very, very short. So in order to land a throw, you need to be very close to your opponent, almost point blank. The main time that you want to think about throwing is if you see your opponent is attempting to block. After a throw, everyone can land a pursuit attack, which we're going to talk about later, but specific characters can do intricate combos after throwing the opponent, so it's smart to keep throwing on deck, especially when you're using a character that can combo from it. The great thing about throws is that you can't block them. That's why they're good to use when you see that your opponent is going on the defensive. But they can be broken. That means that if your opponent's timing is good enough, they can break your throw if they input the same button combination that you use when you made the throw. There's no tell that gives it away though, so that's what makes it a guess. So you have to guess correctly which of the 2 throws your opponent uses to break it right. Now I think it's time that we talk about back roll and jump, or what I like to call back roll air. Personally, I think that this is a mechanic that really gives this game its own identity. It really makes this game stand out from other games. To do a back roll air, we need to input back, light punch, and light kick all at once. This makes our character roll backwards a tiny bit before leaping forward to put you in a jumping situation. When you're in this situation, you can use anything that you would just like a normal jump, but just much closer to the ground. This makes something like an air approach much harder for the opponent to react to, and it can lead to stuff like combos even on the ground or a grab. Now for the last topic, I want to talk about recovery rolls. Recovery rolls and pursuit attacks. Whenever we get knocked down, we're forced into what's called a grounded state. This means that we've been knocked over by the opponent and we're lying on the ground unprotected. We can either do nothing and rise to standing automatically after a set period of time, or we can hold backwards or forwards while grounded to roll in a specific direction before we rise to standing. The problem is, both of these options leave us susceptible to what's called a pursuit attack. We can do a pursuit attack by inputting up or down along with any attack button while the opponent is knocked down in a grounded state. This works from anywhere on the stage, even full screen. But there is a way to protect ourselves from these pursuit attacks by never reaching a fully grounded state. This is done by executing what's called a recovery roll. When we get knocked down, we can input back or forward and light punch and light kick together. This gives us either a backwards or forwards recovery roll. What this does is it skips the grounded state of the knockdown and resets us back to standing where we can react to follow-ups with a block or an evasive option. This means that we can stop our opponent from being able to capitalize on any given knockdown that they happen to cause. And I think that about does it for the basic universal mechanics of the game. So if you like the video, you can like and subscribe to the channel. It'll help me a lot. If you didn't like the video, dislike it and leave a comment voicing your disdain. That's fine. But yeah, just stay happy and healthy, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Peace. Oh yeah, and follow me on Twitter at WakeUpAnything. Alright, peace. For real this time.